Thanks so much for tuning into the trade setup. Apologies, we're starting off a bit late, but nevertheless, let's take stock of all the key news flow. Asian markets are mixed with mildly positive breadth across most of the markets, but the larger index move on most of the Asian stocks is a bit mixed, you would have to say. Some markets are doing okay, some markets are not. WTI crude futures stay below $80 amidst denial of output hike by Saudi Arabia and OPEC. Crypto company Genesis now faces possible bankruptcy. So they are all coming out like nine pins, really. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman holds pre-budget meeting with agriculture and agro-processing industry. So that is now starting from here on until the, the 1st of February. We'll continue to hear about what could happen in the budget and what is anticipated. It's the last key budget before the elections. Remember, the 2024 budget will be just before the election, so therefore there will be a lot of restrictions around what the government will be able to do or no. But I think this is probably the last one, the last meaningful one, so to be watched out for. Nevertheless, what about markets? Like I said, Asia is okay. US markets were a bit mixed. You would have to say, actually, compared to what you otherwise saw day before yesterday, when there was at least a tick of green across, Dow was flat, but Nasdaq was down about 1%. I don't think too much has changed in terms of cues, to be honest. The other cues, that is, so you probably see the dollar index or the VIX or the 10-year yield largely stable around those levels. The SGX Nifty should come up on your screen next. And again, don't expect any fireworks either direction. Don't expect a big landslide move downwards. Don't expect a really dramatic move upwards. About 1/4%. So hardly any changes there. What's the trade setup? I think, frankly, if you look at the trade yesterday as well, it was resilience in the banking sector that helped uh, cap some of the larger damage to the indices. The crude oil downtick, though, I think augurs well from a sentiment perspective. What doesn't augur well is the pullbacks in crowd favorite sectors like defensive, spec chem stocks, which is now kind of hitting the broader market activity a little bit. You don't normally see these stocks correct continuously or have a sharp knock, but when they do, they kind of impact the trader sentiment. And you can feel it on Twitter, you can feel it across in the chats that you're doing as well. The people's portfolios are now losing money, and that is not a great sign. Frankly, like, just look at the kind of moves that happened in some of the defense stocks, not just yesterday, but the last few days. Cochin Shipyard, for example, was down about 7% yesterday. Mazagon Dock, 5.5%. Paras Defense, 3.5%. BEL, 1.23%. HAL just about bucked the trend. Maybe a couple of others did. But a lot of price damage that is happening into some of these defense stocks. And that is one space that everybody believed is doing really well and will continue to do well. Somehow that is now facing the pinch as well. So that is to be watched out for. Now, the big news of the day is PNGRB, and I'll get to the brokerage note in a moment. First, let me read out the other stocks which are in news or in focus. It's not a very heavy news heavy day, mind you, but Nykaa or FSN e-commerce clearly in focus. Lighthouse P seeks up to 42 million in block trade, offered shares between 180 to 183 rupees each. This is as derived from Bloomberg as well as reports. So about a couple of percentage points of a discount, if at all, and that keeps Nykaa in focus. I think the reason why all of these stocks are in focus is also because the supply is continuous, and that's the problem out there. Some stocks in focus include Siemens, which is going to announce its fourth quarter numbers today, or sugar companies, wherein ISO estimates that India's ethanol output is set to hit the record highs in 2023, or NDTV, wherein Adani Group's open offer to acquire 26% stake in the company starts from today and lasts till the 5th of December, and therefore that should keep that stock in focus as well. Some price volume buzzers include GPIL, which was up and active for the right reasons, of course, because of the export duty being rolled back. So that was up 14%, 5x the volumes. Remagnesita, which on that acquisition of the Dalmia Group's refractories, was up about 8% with 4.5 times volumes. Escorts, after they gave the guidance in the analyst meet, 8% higher, 4.5 times the volumes. Or PSU banks, IOB, Central Bank, what have you, those UCO Bank, a lot of these stocks were up and active. IOB volumes were about 4 times with a 10% price movement, or a Deepak Fert, which we spoke about yesterday, entered into that contract with Aarti Industries, supply of for 20 years, and that led to the stock being up 7.5% with volumes about 2.6 times the average. And mind you, Deepak Fertilizers had lost about 9-10% in the last 10 days. So there's a bit of a reversal of sorts of trend for that stock. So that, of course, did well. What is not doing well is autos. They continue to drift lower. So you saw, for example, in yesterday's session, the price action for yesterday, TVS Motors was down about 3.5%, and the OI about 5.3%. Hero MotoCorp, Bharat Forge similarly down 1.8, 1.6% with OI cuts there too. And if you just see the last few days, TVS Motors has lost more than 10% from its October highs. Bharat Forge has lost about 7.5% from its October highs, and iShares is down about 11% from its November highs. So clutch of these stocks are facing some pressure. We spoke about this 2 weeks on a trot, autos had corrected, and there is some more pain that is out there. Now, viewers, like I said, the gas regulator, PNGRB, they have notified the amendments to the gas pipeline tariff regulations, which were proposed in August 2022. Now, what brokerages believe is these amendments would have meaningful positive implications versus the expectations that were there earlier for tariffs of GSPL and GAIL. And most brokerages, I'm reading out the Citi note, for example, between GSPL and GAIL, Citi favors GSPL as the tariff uncertainty has been that one key overhang for the stock, which should now lift in the coming months. So they've opened a positive catalyst watch as well. The introduction of the integrated tariffs is positive for GAIL too, but it still faces earnings headwinds in the other commodity-linked businesses. And therefore, they upgraded the stock to a neutral from a sell, Citi that is, and raised the target price to about 90 from 80. So that is something to be watched out for. And on that note, even MK has mentioned that it's a step in the right direction. Their stock preference, again, GSPL, target price of 325 and GAIL target price of 110. So both of these stocks obviously to be monitored and watched out for. I can try and quickly tell you what is the target price that Citi has on GSPL and GAIL. On GSPL, their target price, the old target price was 355. I think it's now higher. And on GAIL, the target price is 90 rupees. So a bunch of notes, of course, but this development itself should be viewed positively. So that is important. You should also watch out for Vedanta. The board meet for the interim dividend is today. A lot of people expect a very high dividend from Vedanta. If that doesn't come, it's a bit of a disappointment, but do watch out for Vedanta in the session today. Yeah, that seems to be about it. I think there'll be interest in IDBI if SEBI indeed relaxes the norms for the lender's sale as well. So those are a few names to be watched out for. But from a news flow perspective, the gas companies, GSPL, GAIL, watch out for Nykaa, watch out for sugar companies, watch out for the small downtick that is there in autos. At some point of time, it will reverse, but for now, it seems to be a bit of a cloud. And defense in particular, a crowd favorite, but somehow losing its sheen in the recent past. Let's see if it kind of hits a floor sometime soon. The one pocket that continues to do well is PSU Banks. And if you heard Sridhar Sivram yesterday of Enam, he mentioned that there's a very high probability that some of these could well continue to give returns selectively. That's the PSU Banking Bank, because there is growth and valuation is still in their favor. So it's an interesting pocket. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, apologies for logging in late. Some interesting conversations lined up today and all through the week. So you may want to stay tuned to us as well, or selectively at those specific times. But broadly, thanks for tuning into the Trade Setup today.